Star Trek: The Next Generation, Starfleet Academy, Breakaway, Chapter 5. Cargo freighter Barako Kai, Alpha Quadrant, Sector C. Someone viciously kicked the cabin door. Deanna scrambled to her feet as it opened, revealing Captain Chogu's second in command. He gestured at her, then at the corridor. "Come now!" He took her to a cargo locker deep in the bowels of the freighter, pushed her inside, and locked the metal door behind her. The interior of the hold was dark, but Deanna sensed the owner of the voice that cried out, "Troi! Auburn!" A wave of relief washed over Deanna as the Ichthian's tall figure bounded out of the shadows. The familiar, cool hands grasped her shoulders. Auburn burbled happily, and she paused. "Troi, heard you word of the ship? Know you of her status?" Deanna shook her head and told Auburn what had happened to her since the Orions arrived. "It's likely that the Orion ship showed up just to distract the Chippewa, to keep her from protecting this freighter. The cargo aboard is their primary interest." "We felt the engines engaged some time ago," came the voice of Tronald First House. Deanna whirled to her left, and as her eyes adjusted to the dim light of the single glow strip overhead, she made out the figures of the rest of her away team. Ensign First House, Ensign Rennie, and Ensign Siddick. "The pirates have taken us out of the Chippewa's vicinity. We could be in a whole different sector by now," Tronald finished. Deanna barely listened, allowing herself a moment to bask in the presence of her teammates. Whatever came next, at least she wasn't alone anymore. "How long have you been in here?" she asked them. "Rennie and I were caught right away," Tronald said. Rennie growled his displeasure at the announcement, but Tronald went on. "We planned to hide in one of the loaded cargo bays, but the locks would not open. We ended up stuck out in the corridor when—" "Oh, shut up already," Rennie grumbled. "Do not feel embarrassment," Auburn told Rennie in her gurgly but soothing voice. "We have all been captured. I as well was cornered in a corridor." She reached into her uniform pocket and held up her comm badge. "However, this I managed to hide from them, but it gives no advantage unless we remove the damping field around this vessel." "I made it as far as sickbay," Bannon said with casual haughtiness. "I gave those pirates a run for their money, I can tell you." "You still got caught," Rennie reminded him. "Yeah, after taking one of those pirate slugs out with a hypo full of snooze juice. He'll be dreaming for hours." "So that was it," Deanna thought, remembering the empathic impression she'd gotten earlier that one of the away team members had triumphed, if only for a moment. "You accomplished a great feat, Mr. Siddick," Auburn said. "There are now 5 of them and 5 of us." "But they're out there, and we're in here," Tronald noted glumly, "without communications or weapons." Rennie shot Tronald a low-browed look. "Thank you, Mr. Sunshine." Deanna felt the emotional tone of the group darken. "Okay, so we've all been captured," she said quickly, trying to lighten the mood. "But we're alive, right? I've heard that Orions don't take live captives." "Sure they do," said Vanden. "They torture the ugly ones and sell the pretty ones at slave auctions." He leaned toward Deanna. "You and I could be sold as a pair. What do you say, oh flame of my hearts?" Before Deanna could respond, Auburn stepped in. "Well, enough, Mr. Siddick. You will confine your comments to the business at hand." Vanden regarded Auburn with cold eyes. "Yes, sir, Ensign Twill, sir. But might I remind the group that a little humor now and then eases tension?" He grinned. "Works for me, anyway." "Let us not lose sight of our mission objective," Auburn told the others. calmly ignoring Vanden. "We have been ordered to secure this vessel and save the crew." "Let's bring the pirates in here." Vanden paced back and forth as he spoke, the dim glow strip throwing his shadow against the bulkheads like a restless wraith. "Even if they all come at once, it'll be an even fight." Auburn shook her head. "Direct confrontation is not our best course." "Well, sitting here certainly isn't," Vanden shot back. "We have no weapons effective against disruptors," Auburn insisted. Vanden tapped his skull. "Then we'll use our brains. Those Orions are bolder than they are smart." Deanna held her breath as Auburn stepped up to Vanden until her face was mere inches from his. "Following Evelyn's charge," Auburn stated with calm confidence, "we shall not battle the Orion pirates, and we shall not lure them here. This baby is a prison. We require space to maneuver." "I think you're playing it too cautious, sir," Vanden responded, not as calmly, but just as confidently. "If we wait much longer, we'll be too far away from Federation territory to contact anybody, even using the freighter's comm system should we gain access to it." He turned to the group for support. Once again, Deanna felt the emotional tone of the group change, but now it was a dangerous change. Vanden's insubordination was creating incredible tension. "I have to do something," she thought. "But what?" And then something that had been nagging at the back of her mind for the last few minutes suddenly became clear. "Wait a minute. The air is fresh," she said. "Smell it." Ronald sniffed. "Troi is right. This could be a hold for biological cargo. If so, that means there's a ventilation system." "We already looked," Rennie insisted. "There are no openings anywhere." "Then how do you explain the air?" Deanna asked him. Vanden gracefully swept up Deanna's hand and kissed it before she snatched it back. "My lovely Deanna, there is no vent," he purred in an infuriatingly condescending tone. "Believe me." "Ensign Siddick, I'll believe you when knowing for certain ceases to be an option." Deanna wanted to say more like, "And kindly keep your paws to yourself," but now is not the time. "Look, the Orions are tricky," she told the others. "If there's a vent system in here, they may have camouflaged it, knowing they'd be using this hole to imprison us." "Then let us examine all surfaces again with more care this time," Auburn ordered. She turned to Vanden. "Agreed, Mr. Siddick?" Deanna watched as Vanden narrowed his eyes and pursed his lips. He can't stand taking orders from Auburn, she thought. He hates not being in charge. Deanna decided to leave her mental shields lowered to monitor Vanden as well as the rest of the away team. Leaving her mind vulnerable would hurt, but her empathy might be useful in diffusing further disagreements. We all have to work together if we're going to get out of this jam, she thought. Auburn split the group up, and everyone began to examine every surface of the cargo bay. Within minutes, Rennie said, "Over here. I thought this was just a nick in the bulkhead before, but maybe it's something more." He was kneeling beyond the range of the glow strip, so all Deanna could see of him was a vague black shape in the shadows. Auburn started to move toward him, but Vanden pushed past her and reached Rennie first. "There's a thin metal plate here, a little less than a meter square," Vanden said, groping along the wall in the dark. "It could be covering something." "Here." Deanna pulled the clip from her hair and handed it to Rennie. "This could help." After a few minutes of scraping and grunting, Rennie and Vanden pried the metal sheet partway off the wall. "Well, what do you know?" Rennie murmured as a blast of recirculated air blew on them. "Our local mind reader was right. I'm impressed." Vanden said, "And I'm in love, so I guess that means—" "Shh!" Deanna reached out and touched Vanden's shoulder to silence him. Panic was welling up in her, but the feeling didn't belong to her. It was coming from beyond the bulkhead. "Somebody's in there," she whispered. "In the shaft?" Auburn whispered back from the darkness. "Yes," Deanna confirmed. "And whoever it is heading this way." Chapter 6. Starfleet Academy. Earth. Whoever it was, she was heading right toward her. Deanna jumped to her feet and faced the door. She was alone in her dorm room. Auburn had gone for an evening swim, so Deanna was using the time to squeeze in some much-needed study. But there'd be no more studying now. "Come in, Mother," she said, recognizing the presence outside. The door whooshed open, and Lwaxana Troi sailed in, the train of her gown rustling after her, the gems in her earrings and hairpiece sparkling in the overhead light. "Little one, how wonderful to see you," she greeted Deanna telepathically, kissing her cheek. Then she called aloud, "You may enter, Mr. Zelo." "Mother, what?" But Deanna got no further, as Zelo, Lwaxana's valet, entered with an anti-grav serving cart laden with silver dishes and covered serving platters. He nodded pleasantly to her and began to set solid silver tableware for two on the little study table. "Mother, what in the world is this?" Deanna demanded. "It's dinner. What does it look like?" Lwaxana's expression turned to one of alarm. "Don't tell me you've eaten already." Then she waved her hand in a dismissive gesture. "Well, if you have, you'll still want some of these imported Tribalian spiced trinkets after our little riff in class morning. I decided the least I could do is bring you a decent meal. Heaven knows what they make you eat here." Lwaxana glanced about the dorm room as if suddenly seeing it. "What an ugly little room! There should be a law against making people live in closets." Deanna nearly exploded. "Mother, explain yourself, and do so out loud. We're not on Beta Z anymore." "No, we're not, are we?" Lwaxana sighed, as if the fact depressed her. "Deanna, don't think I haven't noticed how you've been ignoring my calls. I've been on campus for several days now, yet here you are, going about your business as if I didn't exist. You and I need to have a little chat." Zelo pulled a chair out for her, and Lwaxana gracefully seated herself. "Please, little one, sit down." "I will do no such thing." All Deanna could think of was the embarrassment of that morning in xenosociology, and worse, the look in Alex Rennie's eyes as she stormed out of the lecture hall. "How dare you waltz in here with all of this... Deanna gestured helplessly at the catered dinner. Good grief, what if someone had seen Lwaxana enter the dorm? Jokes might already be flying across campus about the freshman whose mother, the teacher, delivered a catered dinner to her dorm room. "Oh, for heaven's sake," Lwaxana said with a huff. "All right, if you must know. I was just trying to make it easier for you." Deanna paused, confused. "Easier for me to what?" "To apologize, of course. You think I'm going to let the other morning go by as if it never happened?" Deanna was shocked. "You expect me to apologize to you?" Lwaxana waved her hand, and Zelo dished out a plump, delicately roasted game bird with squatty little legs, a Tribalian spiced trinket. "That's usually what daughters do when they embarrass their mothers in public," she said. "I embarrassed you?" Deanna spluttered. "I don't believe this." "Frankly, I don't either. You're away from home for only a couple of weeks, and boom, your manners go out the window." It was all Deanna could do not to scream. Balling her fists, she paced the room twice, then decided to sit down before the furious energy raging through her body made her do something unfortunate, like throw a data pack at the wall. "What are you doing here at the academy, Mother? And don't tell me you've suddenly developed an overwhelming urge to enter the teaching profession." "Actually, I've been considering it for some time," Lwaxana smoothly replied. "After all, my services as a mother are no longer needed, are they? And since I was here, I thought I might be able to help you." "Help me?" Deanna stared at her mother. I don't need your help." "Really? Then explain why your mental shields were failing you, and then explain why they've suddenly become stronger in the past few days." Deanna backed away. "No," she whispered, a sense of failure gripping her, squeezing the confidence out of her. "No, Mother. I thought I was finally... No! Don't tell me that support is your doing." "Of course it's my doing." Lwaxana daintily carved off a chunk of trinket as she continued. "The moment my shuttle entered orbit around Earth, I could feel you struggling down here like a gull in a windstorm. So I reinforced your shields from a distance, and I've been doing so ever since. She pointed her trinket-laden fork at Deanna. You need me, little one. I told you that before you left. And she popped the meat into her mouth. All the independence Deanna had felt since her arrival at the academy crashed down around her. Stop it, she cried out. Whatever help you're giving me with my mental shields, just stop. Mother, I'll never grow up if you don't let me. Lwaxana shrugged, and for just a moment her eyes grew distant. Then, like water crashing through a broken dam, a flood of emotions crashed into Deanna's head, a maelstrom of anger and joy and jealousy and rage and everything in between. Deanna reeled as the last of Lwaxana's supporting power was pulled away from her. She grabbed her head and, closing her eyes, concentrated as she'd never concentrated before. This was the crucial test. If she couldn't regain control of her shields here, in front of her mother, she'd never do it. She could feel Lwaxana watching her, and after a moment of struggling, her thoughts cleared. She drew in a shuddering breath. Good, Lwaxana admitted. Not great, but good. You need practice. I've been practicing, Deanna said with effort. A pounding headache throbbed at her temples, but she was determined to hide it. You can't hide anything from me, little one. You know that, Lwaxana said telepathically. You might as well admit the truth. That's it. Deanna stood up and jabbed a finger at the door. Please leave. What? Deanna, how dare you? Leave, Mother. I'm going to grow up, whether you want me to or not. I'm going to succeed here at the academy, and I'm going to show you that I don't need your help, or anybody else's anymore. Now, please, I have studying to do. Slowly, with great dignity, Lwaxana rose from her chair. Mr. Zelo, she said, you may clean up. In a flurry of motion, Zelo cleared off the study table and loaded everything back onto the anti-grav cart. Deanna watched as he hastened out the door. We'll continue this discussion later, little one, Lwaxana said telepathically and followed him out. Deanna managed to control herself for 30 seconds before she did something unfortunate. She threw a data pack at the wall. It broke.